Okay, so we've got the Hilux in the shed today. So we're going to be doing a timing belt and the cam and crank seal because one of them is leaking. So while you're there, may as well do a timing belt because you're pulling all the same stuff apart. So just kind of plotting out where to start and how I'm going to do this. And in the way there's your water lines here, so I think it's just going to be easier instead of trying to fiddle around everything. May as well just take the radiator out because we're taking light hoses off anyway, so we're going to lose some water, so may as well just take the radiator out, get it all out of there, fan off, belts off, and get a bit more exposed. So we're going to cut to that now. Might get a bit of a time lapse going, but yeah, we're just going to slowly start plucking away and pulling everything off this. Yeah, so let's crack on. Okay, so I decided not to time lapse it, but this is what we're up to now. So we've got the timing cover off, we've got it all marked up and notched on top dead center, so all the gear's ready. So 4 belts had to come out. We left the radiator in but just took out the shroud and fan obviously. So sitting with there's enough room to now take it off. So if we hop underneath, there seems to be very definitive that it's coming out of the camshaft seal there, the crank seal. So nice and oil soaked all down there, dripping down the motor. So yeah, let's continue on and get this done. Okay, so just a nice quick tally of what really needs to come off when you're doing this. So it's pretty much just this here plus your belts and your upper and lower radiator hoses. They're just still sitting in the car out of the way. So this is your harmonic balancer. It's 2-piece. I just take that off to get a bit more room on this. To get the camshaft seal out, you have to remove this top cover. I'll show you when we get back around the front, but in order to get that off, it's just those 4 mils, and there's a bit of like sealant along the bottom, just glue. But this gear is in the way, so that's got to come off as well. So there's the old belt, same part number as the new belt, so we know it's new, and everything still timed out. But here is where that gear sits, and it covers up to here, so you can't get this plate off. But once the plate's off, your seal will just be in there. So I've already pulled that out, and then I've already pulled the other one out. So now it's ready to whack the new seals back in and then just slowly start slapping it back together. Okay, so very easy. New seals in, so there's your cam seal, and then we'll have a look under here, and then there's the new crank seal in. So these have something to push back into, so you just go until they don't go anymore all the way home. So you can almost just push them with your fingers. They are a bit firm, but if you don't want to do that, get a nice flat edge and you can just go around and lightly just tap it, hammering it in. You don't want a screwdriver or anything in case you puncture the seal, because then it's no good. But you should just be able to get a nice flat punch and just work your way around, make sure it's all the way home, all the way around, nice and even. But yeah, so there's those 2 done. So I can put my plate back on now and then start reassembling it. So I'll go plate on, gear on, and then make sure it's still lined up. I just got to tweak my injector pump gear just because it's a bit loose. It's just moved off my mark a little bit. I don't know if you can really see that from there, but I've marked here, and it's just got to mark up with my white line here, so it's about 2 teeth out. So I accidentally knocked that when I took the tension off the belt, and with the tensioner as well, it is spring loaded, so it's nice and easy. You kind of just pry it back and tighten it up, and then get your belts on, get it all lined up, and then you kind of just loosen it and it'll spring and take the tension up, and then just tighten it up where it takes the tension. Wind the motor over a couple times and make sure you don't hear anything out of the ordinary, so you know it's still timed out. So go around a couple times to make sure your marks still line up, and then from there you can start putting the rest of it back together. So not long now. Okay, so here she is now all timed up. So my mark with my up, and then the mark that goes with the backing plate arrow. The injector pump lined up, and then down here, I'll try and focus this in. There is a triangle on the back, and then just a little notch in the pulley. So I've wound it around twice now, and nothing out of the ordinary. Nice and tensioned all the way around, not too tight, not too slack, so it's tensioned properly all the way around. So That's the belt back on and the motor timed all up. So now we can chuck the timing cover over the front and then start doing the rest. So timing cover goes back on, and then you can start with all your pulleys, harmonic balancer, the water pump pulley. Put this little bearing back on, and then start connecting up all the belts. And then last, I'll put my fan and fan shroud back in, connect all my water hoses up, and then bleed it all up. So we'll cut to that now. Okay, so it might be a bit hard to hear, but she's bleeding up right now. Everything went together very nicely, so now we're just bleeding up the coolant. So yeah, so that's pretty much the timing belt on a Toyota Hilux LM167. Very straightforward, very easy. Just slowly pull the things apart and they go back together pretty much the exact same. It's a very straightforward job to do on this car, which is good. So we've turned it back on now, no sounds, nothing out of the ordinary. So chuck some water in and started to bleed that all up. So we're slowly slipping there now, drinking it all in while it heats up, which diesels do tend to take a bit longer to heat up than petrols. So it's best to just go for a drive and then take your cap off, let the air out. But yeah, so thank you all for watching this one. I hope it was a bit informational for all of you. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like